It's Our Story. Diane Coleman, Chicago, Illinois.
Not Dead Yet is a national disability rights group that opposes legalization of assisted suicide and euthanasia. Specifically, active euthanasia is opposed and non-voluntary passive euthanasia, which means that last one is killing through the withholding of life-sustaining medical treatment against the will of the person.
And why is it important to stop euthanasia? Why is this? Why are you in this program? You know.
There's a history to it. To the formation of Not Dead Yet, it really began long before. There were converging forces. One area is known as the baby doe cases, which involved newborns with spina bifida and Down syndrome. It was found out that they were being starved to death or denied routine medical care after they were born. And this resulted in court cases that were battled out through the developmental disability community and produced regulations called the Baby Doe Amendments that were actually amendments to the child abuse laws. It's turned out in later years that they were not much enforced. At about the same time, there were other cases happening that actually Ed Roberts and others got involved in that are leaders in the movement. One of those involved a woman named Elizabeth Bouvet. She was in the Los Angeles area. She had CP, cerebral palsy. She was age 26, and she'd had some really serious setbacks in her life, a miscarriage, a marriage breakup. Her brother had drowned. Her mother had been diagnosed with cancer. Vocational rehabilitation had been messing with her benefits. And she checked herself into a hospital to try to starve herself to death and receive morphine and comfort care. And the media and the press and the judges and most of the community, the medical people even, tended to agree, to say that, yes, she should want to die because of her disability and we should help her. It was called a, quote, right to die case. But the disability community throughout California fought back and tried to get their point of view in front of the public by protests and so forth, testifying actually in one situation and trying to influence what happened. Unfortunately, we lost. And shortly after that, a number of other cases came up that we call the give me liberty or give me death cases involving people on ventilators. And that's where some comments came out from Ed Roberts, because he was very similar to the individuals who were being offered the right to die without being offered the right to get supports. And in fact, I dug out from the Disability Rag archives a quote from Ed, if you'd be interested to hear it. He says, and he's commenting particularly on these respirator cases where people didn't want to be in nursing homes, and so they were using pull the plug as a way to get their freedom. He said, "The whole thing is outrageous," said Roberts now. He had just learned about the Bergstedt case himself. "I'm getting angrier and angrier about these cases. They feed on each other, the attorneys, the courts, the judges, they don't know anything. They see somebody like Bergstedt and they say, of course, he wants to die. What's happening is we're killing people in this country and then act like we're doing them a favor. It's outrageous." Those comments of Ed's really are a precursor to an increasing concern that people had over the 80s and 90s about the euthanasia movement, really devaluing the lives of people with disabilities and using all kinds of legal sophistry and stereotypes to justify medical killing of people with disabilities. And people tried writing articles and filing court briefs and testifying about these issues, but yet people like Jack Kevorkian got more and more popular. And so finally it became clear that there was a need for a group similar to ADAPT to take the issue to the streets, because all the nice ways of doing things were not working. And that's what caused the formation of Not Dead Yet, which is named after a running gag in Monty Python and the Holy Grail. It grew out of the work of so many people who were concerned about these issues, but it wasn't enough, and more was needed. So that's the reason for Not Dead Yet, which has now been in existence since April '96. And while we have been successful at raising the disability voice on these issues, we have a very, very long way to go to overcome the incredible money and political power behind the pro-euthanasia forces. And I only hope that this movement will grow and that people will gain an understanding of how much our lives are threatened.
The It's Our Story project is a national effort to make disability history public and accessible. Visit us at www.itsourstory.org or on the It's Our Story project YouTube channel.